Hi everyone, in this review I'm going to show you real-time swatches and give you a first impressions of Anastasia Beverly Hills' brand new Riviera eyeshadow palette. This palette just launched on ABH's website, so you can purchase it there directly, or if you want to wait a little while, it will launch soon at places like Sephora online. I'll put a link in the description box below to where you can find it to purchase, as well as a link to Ebates, which you should sign up with if you aren't a member already, so that when you do make online purchases, you can automatically get some cash back on whatever order you make. All right, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you aren't already a subscriber. We have a lot of new members recently, so welcome. Some giveaways will be upcoming soon, both on this channel and on the Instagram page. So if you're not an Instagram follower, please see the handle in the description box below and start following on Instagram. And one last thing, if you haven't seen the latest video before this one, which was for MAC's brand new Spring 2019 collection, Boom Boom Bloom, I'm linking that in the upper right-hand corner for you to see. Make sure you go check that out. All right, let's dive into Anastasia Beverly Hills' new Riviera eyeshadow palette. So the palette itself has a material feeling surface to it and very sailory with gold lettering. It has a magnetic closure, opens up and has a good sized mirror on the inside. It has 2 rows of eyeshadow shades, and like with the other palettes, you get a duo-ended eyeshadow brush. And also, if you're new to my channel, I do have pretty rough hands. I am a climber. I do not wear nail polish. I do not care about how my hands look aesthetically. So if that bothers you, sorry, it's not gonna change. So inside you have pretty reflective blue packaging that surrounds each eyeshadow palette. I really like the fact that you have the names of each shade on the palette itself underneath the corresponding pans. And as always, I swatch each shade with an eyeshadow brush from Sigma, and I do all of the swatches over eyeshadow primer. And I swatch left to right, top row to bottom row. The Riviera palette retails for $45, and here's the description from Anastasia. It says, set sail with 14 all-new Paradise-inspired mattes and metallics, from vibrant jewel tones to bright pops of color. Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette is an essential springtime color collection featuring classic neutrals and seasonal tones that are perfect for creating your ultimate vacation looks. It says that you only need a minimal amount of product because a little goes a long way. And it also says that you should use pressed pigment shade Bahamas as a blush bold color for the face or body, or I assume that you could use it that way. So it sounds like Bahamas is going to be a little bit of a different formula as a pressed pigment shade maybe. Although the description also says that they all have a formula that is full pigment powder. In total, there are 14 shades with 8 ultra mattes, 4 metallics, and 2 duochromed shades. And the palette is cruelty-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, and says dermatologist tested. All right, let's start by swatching the shade Sails, which is a matte white. Very true to color, nice pigmentation, applies very smoothly. Second, we'll apply Yacht. This is a mauve taupe with a violet shift. And this is supposed to be a duochrome shade. I don't immediately see a duochrome. And in moving my arm around, I also don't see a duochrome. Not sure about this one. Third is going to be Seychelles. This is a metallic aquamarine. Fourth will be Palermo. Is a metallic jewel pink. All 3 of these shimmering shades going on with great pigmentation, very smooth. Fifth is Seaside. This is another shade they say is a duochrome. It says silver with a subtle blue shift. Again, it's a beautiful color, I just don't know if I agree with the description. It seems like a steel purple to me. Silvered kind of dusty lilac. Now, this shade does seem to shift a little more than that first duochrome shade from silver to that grayed purple, but I don't really know about duochrome. Sixth is Inheritance. This is a metallic true gold, it says. This is a very bright yellow-based gold. Mediterranean. They describe this as a metallic sky blue, but I think this is a purple blue. And this has different colored shimmer particles. I see silver, blue, and purple. It's a very pretty shade. A little bit flaky when it comes to the shimmer particles. You could probably use this one wet and it would look very, very pretty. Moving on to the second row, 8th is going to be Estate. Estate is a matte shade. This is a soft pastel. It says peachy pink. I don't see any pink in here though. Looks like a nudie peach to me. 9th is Cabana. This is another matte shade. This is a muted birch mustard. 10th shade is Coastline. Another matte shade. And this is a pastel, says soft peach. Don't think it's that pastel. It's a pretty dead on peach to my eye. 11th is Bahamas. Another matte shade here. This is a bright, bold, candy, hot pink pressed pigment. So they do specifically say this is a pressed pigment, and you can kind of tell from, may not be able to tell on the camera, but the way that you can feel the color swatching and the powder moving under the brush, you can tell that there's a difference between this shade and the other ones, even the matte colors. And what you can tell on the camera, I'm sure, is how mind-blowingly pigmented this particular shade is. All of these mattes have very good pigmentation on this, but this one is just on a different level. 12 is going to be Monte Carlo. Another matte shade. This is a mid-toned cool pink. Thirteen is Cannes. Another matte shade. This is a bright violet purple pressed pigment. Compared to the pink shade, not as impactful, but I feel like if we had swatched this one first, it would have been also very, very impressive. It's still very impressive, very pigmented. And 14 is Palm. Another matte shade. This is a dark chocolate brown pressed pigment. What's interesting is when you swatch the pressed pigments, they seem almost, it's hard to describe, but more creamy. Like they sink into the skin a lot compared to the other just regular eyeshadow formulas. It's like they meld into the skin under the brush. All right, those are your 14 eyeshadows / pressed pigments from the Riviera palette. Here are the shimmering shades, or mostly shimmering shades, up close from the first row, and then the all matte shades from the bottom row. And I did something a little different, which was actually showing you how I pick the product up before I swatch, which I think I'll start doing now for all of my live swatch videos, but I did not press my brush into those pans hard at all. The product transfers very, very quickly, easily, and smoothly to the brush. I don't have to dig into the pan or really press hard on the skin to get the smooth pigmented layer of color. Okay, this is my arm post removing these swatches, so I just wanted to show you that those pressed pigments, especially that bright pink one, will stain. So if you're not someone who expects that, just be aware. The pressed pigments do have a tendency, the brighter, bolder, or sometimes deeper shades, they do sometimes have a tendency to stain the skin. Now, I was curious with Anastasia's suggestion that we use that shade as a bold blush color. So what I actually did is I applied a thin layer of foundation here and put a little bit of translucent powder, kind of to mimic what we would do on the face. And I am going to apply a layer of it in a more diffused manner like we would as a blush. I chose this fan brush. I don't even know where it's from. It's from really cheap company that I bought really years ago, or many years ago. I chose it because it will diffuse the product well when you have something so bold and pigmented, so you don't look like a clown, but also because the pan is so small as an eyeshadow, it's really gonna be hard to get anything in that pan other than like an eyeshadow brush. So at the very least, this is very skinny, so I'm gonna apply or pick up little bit of product at a time, and we will do the swatches this way. Okay, so hopefully you can kind of see the bit of product on the edges of the brush there. Let's see what we get. Yeah, I don't know about this. I just feel like, you know, if the pan were bigger, then it may be easy to get an even layer of product on a brush. But if you can't get an even layer of product on the brush, it's a little harder to get an even layer on the skin. This is building up nicely, and it does blend, and it does seem like it's able to move the way you would want a blush to move, as well as being able to apply the way you would want an eyeshadow to apply. Okay, so there's just a couple very light layers applied. You can clearly tell you get a layer of bold color right away. This is the angled powder brush from e.l.f. that I usually use for blush and highlight swatches or powder products in my video. Let's see if we can, it's also pretty narrow, so let's see if we can get anything different. Yeah, I really think that a fan brush is probably the best way to go, just to control the level of craziness with a pigment like this. That's very patchy. I don't think necessarily just because of the formulation of the product, but more getting it onto a brush evenly. Let's see if we can apply this on the cheeks and see how that goes. It is something that can work. I think a limit of one thin layer with a fan brush is probably the max. It looks okay with that kind of application if you buff it, but really once you add even a second layer, it gets out of control so quickly, and it really doesn't look that smooth on the skin. So definitely better as an eyeshadow. Alright, so there's the full swatch and review for Anastasia Beverly Hills' new Riviera palette. I have to say I am in adoration of this palette, which is kind of curious to me because for the past year or two, I have always watched other people say how much they love their ABH palettes and tutorials on them, and I never really thought that the eyeshadow palettes, I just never was one to be attracted to them or fall for them or really want to buy them. Then when I did the video that compared the swatches of the Sultry palette to the Urban Decay Naked Reloaded palette, which I wasn't even going to do, I only did it, and I only purchased the Sultry palette because viewers were requesting that I do that swatch comparison video. But when I did that, my jaw really did drop, and I really understood how there was so much hype around the Sultry palette. And now that I'm reviewing this palette, that's two absolute home runs in terms of color quality, color story from Anastasia. So I might be a convert, and I think I am definitely going to be much more likely to be purchasing the future releases of palettes from her. In terms of using that color as a blush, I think technically speaking, yes, you could. I don't think it's going to be worth the hassle for 99% of people. you're just going to want to turn to your regular blush that you can put your brush in easily and apply normally. Please leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know, are you going to be buying this palette? What do you think of the color story? Have you always been a person who loves ABH palettes, or are you a more recent convert? Or have you never bought a palette and now maybe this video will change your mind and you might purchase one? Let me know. As always, thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Please give the video a thumbs up if you have a second, and I'll see you in the next video.